As we grow and scale as a video production company, we're constantly faced with big decisions when it comes to our gear. And we've made mistakes in the past when it comes to upgrading to bigger cinema cameras, because a lot of our work and a lot of the type of work we do is very run and gun. And so for the past, really just the past year and a half, we've been rolling with the Sony FX6, and this has been my favorite camera that I've ever used. Everything about this camera is incredible, from the autofocus, low light performance, visual quality. You got 10-bit, you got S-Log3. It's everything that I'd hope for in a camera. But if you're like me, maybe at some point in your journey, you felt like you needed to upgrade to a bigger camera because you got told by somebody that, oh, people will never take you seriously if you show up to a shoot with that. And far too many times I bought into this bigger is better kind of mindset. And a couple years ago, we fell into this trap and we ended up buying a Blackmagic Ursa. And while it was amazing, there were so many things about it that made it just inconvenient and clunky to use. And we found ourselves time and time again just going back and using our Sony a7 IIIs. It was something that we could continue to edit in Final Cut, which we're used to, we're fast in, and we're effective in. And we really had to come to the decision that that piece of gear was not right for us and our production. And you can find YouTubers that'll tell you that you have to have a big cinema camera or that it's not worth it to have a big cinema camera. You can find all types of opinions out there, but ultimately we're in search of what works best for us. And over the past few months, I've been doing a lot of research and trying to figure out what is that next camera? You know, should we sell all of our gear and buy a red Komodo? I went down that rabbit hole for multiple days of literally trying to figure out if we were to piece out our whole kit, sell everything and buy a red Komodo and build it out the way that you need to actually be able to use it. And upon dozens and dozens of hours of researching, I came to the conclusion that for our types of productions and the work that we're doing right now and for the foreseeable future, it just didn't make sense. We're a 5-man crew as of the time of recording this video. We have 5 people that are full-time on set, and that's really the crew that we try to stick with because we work together on a daily basis. And so we don't do a ton of 10, 15, 20-man productions where we're contracting people from the union in different areas of town because our market, there's really not a ton of that going on. And so as we grow and really try to go to the next level in our commercial filmmaking, we're always trying to figure out, can our gear take us to the next level? What are the limitations? And what's the camera that ultimately is going to fit us the best? And after many, many hours of researching, I think I have that answer. I'm not 100% sure though, because we've made decisions to buy something a little bit bigger in the past and they didn't work out. But after researching, it seemed to me that the best next step for us to kind of move to the next level in our production is the camera in this box right in front of me. And that is the Sony FX6. Now I'm gonna open up this box and then I'll explain to you guys a few reasons why we decided to get the FX6 as a companion and as an upgrade to the 2 FX3s that we already own. So let's go ahead, let's get inside this box. I'm really excited to see this camera in person, and I think the thing I'm most excited for is to see how lightweight it actually is, because that was one of the big selling points, was everyone talked about how light this camera was. And I didn't want something that was huge and clunky like the Ursa. So let's get into this box. Shout out to B&H. I ordered this yesterday and it came in this morning. Next day was pretty sick. All right. Inside the box, we have another box. There it is, the Sony FX6 box. All right, let's go ahead and pop this bad boy open. All right, what do we got in here first? So I actually did end up getting the kit with the 24 to 105 millimeter lens because it was really the only one that was available. The one with the body only was out of stock. So first thing you see in the box here is this 24 to 105 lens. I did a lot of research on this and it honestly seems like an awesome lens to add to our kit. We've always found ourselves needing another zoom lens. And honestly, most of the time nowadays, we're not filming below f4 a ton of the time. Usually we're at f4 or somewhere near that range. So really excited to try this lens out. First thing we have here is the Smart Grip, which I'm very excited to try. This is something that I've actually never used a side handle on a camera before. And so I'm super excited to have a side handle, a Smart Grip, where I can hit record, I can change my settings. and all of that like a true cinema camera. That's one thing that you don't really get with a DSLR or a mirrorless camera, is the ability to kind of hold it like this and have this side grip where you can change your zoom, your aperture, you can hit record, and all of that good stuff. Smart Grip feels really nice, feels very ergonomic in the hand, and I know the way that it quick releases and attaches to the camera is pretty sweet too. So we'll set this aside for now. And we have our LCD viewfinder here with our mount. Next up, we have what I believe to be our top handle. Again, super excited. Honestly, I'm pumped. I've heard mixed reviews on this, but I don't know why everyone's hating. It feels pretty solid to me. It feels much better than the FX3 handle that came with that, as well as the ability to, again, hit record, change all your settings without having to move both of your hands and fumble around on the camera. I'm super excited to be able to have this in a low handheld setting and be able to just hit record right at the touch of my fingertips. And last but not least, we have the FX6 Camera Body. Whoa. That's sick. It is very light. I mean, it's smaller than I thought it would be, but I feel like it's just the perfect balance. I think for us, I think it's the perfect next step of size and functionality, because one thing that I didn't want this to do is I didn't want upgrading to a cinema camera style body to mean that now we have to wear a vest rig on every single shoot or an easy rig. I wanted something that has the benefits of the professional inputs and outputs, of all the customizable buttons, of the internal ND filter, without having to sacrifice some of the run and gun nature of the way that I like to shoot. I like to put this on a handheld stabilizer and run around with it. And I feel like I'll be able to do this with how lightweight this body is. Look at that heat sink. Sick. I'm gonna assemble it, and then I'm gonna go through really the 3 big reasons why we went with this camera. And the first one is that it has internal electronic ND filters. And if you're watching this video and you've seen anything on the FX6, you know that this is like one of the hugest selling points of this camera. But really, we don't own a nice set of variable ND filters, and so we've never really used them. A lot of our shoots that we've been on, we've relied on our shutter speed to set our exposure for the aperture that we want to shoot at. And we knew that if we're gonna go to the next level in our productions, we couldn't continue to do that. I want to be able to set my shutter angle at 180 degrees, have the aperture that I want, and not have to compensate for my exposure using my shutter speed or my aperture. And that's something that we've always had to do. And so that was the biggest selling point, I think, in my opinion, for this camera. Let's go ahead and put this side handle on here. And this just, oh, there we go. It's like a lens. It lines up with the dots, then you rotate it back, and there you have it. It's ready to go. Plug in our cable and we're good to go. This grip feels great. I think I'll find myself using this a lot more now that I have something that has a good side grip option. You have a bunch of different buttons on here. Have one right here, couple on the top, record button, and then to release it, you just, oh, that's cool. And then you can literally turn it to whatever position you want to use it at. So if you want to hold it like this, or if you want to tilt down and hold it like this, if you're holding the camera up high, I don't know why you do that, but it's nice to be able to rotate this easily and then just release it at a click of a button. And the second big reason that we decided to go with the FX6, even though we already have FX3s, is for the professional connectivity. We're moving towards sets where we're able to use a wireless video system and have a focus puller or have a dedicated director's monitor or a client monitor, and having both an SDI and an HDMI output to be able to run separate feeds to a monitor on top of the camera from a wireless transmitter seemed like a huge advantage to us. Another thing that really helped sell me on this FX6 is that it doesn't have the most annoying issue, in my opinion, that the FX3 and all other alpha cameras by Sony share. And that is that most of the alpha cameras, except for like the A6500 and A6000 series, use a 4x3 viewfinder or monitor. And the problem with that is when you're plugging them into a 16:9 external monitor, you cannot have the HDMI info overlay and use the entire width of the display, which means that you're looking at a cropped in version of a 1080p or 720p screen, and you lose so much screen real estate that it almost makes it not worth using an external monitor unless you're using a clean feed. Now with the FX6, it is built to be a video camera. It's not a stills camera. And so the Viewfinder is a 16:9 resolution, just like most external monitors would be. And so the benefit that you get with that is now if I'm running a feed out from my HDMI or SDI, I don't have to run a clean feed. I can run a feed where I can see my info overlay, I can see my settings, and best of all, I can see that I'm recording on my primary monitor. I can't tell you how many times I've thought I was recording because I hit the button and I didn't hit it hard enough, and I didn't look at the tally on the back because it's in a run and gun situation and I don't have time to roll speed and do all the things and prep for my shot. I just have to hit record and catch the moment. And then afterwards, I look down at my secondary tiny little screen and realize that I wasn't recording the whole time. And I have to redo the take, ask the talent to do it again. You name it, it's just inconvenient. And so having the ability to run a clean feed to a wireless transmitter to the director, but have my info overlay on my primary monitor, I think is gonna make a huge difference when using this camera. So let's go ahead and throw this on here. And I was wondering how this worked. So the multi-interface on the top that gives you access to the audio handle just has this little plastic cover, and then it has an actual connector here. And then the handle itself, so it has a little place to hide that plastic cover so that you don't lose it, which I think is really nice because that would be the worst thing ever to lose this. And then you run the risk of dust and dirt getting into this port, and you don't want that. So let's go ahead and install this top handle. Super easy. Took about 2 seconds, screw in the 2 screws, and we are good to go. And this handle feels pretty solid. I've seen a lot of people say that it's flimsy, and I'm sure that in the field, if it gets bumped, I know that we've broken off the XLR module on one of our FX3 handles because somebody elbowed it at a wedding, and I no longer use those because of it, but I will say this is a much more solid handle than the handle off of the FX3. I can tell already. The quality, it just feels like it's built better, it's thicker. It's also fully enclosed, so it's not just like this and then it's cut off and so you can just bend it. This feels really solid and definitely usable. So I'm actually gonna use only this. I'm not gonna get a different top handle because as you know, if you know anything about the FX6, there's no audio inputs on the body, so you have to use this handle if you want to get audio into this camera except for scratch mic. And the third and potentially biggest reason that sold me and helped me sell Darren on this camera really is that we didn't have to switch ecosystems. It shoots in a very similar codec that we can edit on our computers in the program that we're used to. We don't have to switch to Resolve. That was one thing when we bought the Ursa. It was a complete workflow change, and this will fit seamlessly into our workflow. We don't have to worry about getting in the wrong environment with not enough lighting, and it's a normal cinema camera, or we would have had a Komodo and we would be screwed because we can't push up to 12,800 ISO. We have all of the benefits of the FX3 in this camera, but we also gain all the benefits of working in a more professional workflow with professional inputs, professional buttons, having built-in ND filters. And so I think that's what makes this camera stand out among all the other cameras out there right now, is that for us, we're already a Sony shop. So Canon C70 is out of the question. We're not gonna sell the 8 E-mount lenses that we have and switch entirely to a new system just because it's a little bit better in certain areas. We wanted something that could feel like a natural upgrade and that would be right at home in our family of gear, and that we wouldn't have to go out and buy a whole new lens system. And as an added bonus, both the FX6 and the FX3 were recently approved by Netflix for capture, so we're good on that front, and we can use that as a selling point to talk to our clients and say, hey, we shoot on Netflix approved cameras. Whether you think it makes a difference or not, honestly, I don't know. I think I've gone both ways of the whole, well, if I show up to set with this versus this, will people take me more seriously? And I think that's another huge reason that people debate whether the FX3 is better or the FX6 is better. I watched a video from Chris Brockhurst where he talked about how the FX3 was better because it's the same, but it's smaller and more convenient. But for the types of productions we're doing, I believe that our clients, even though they probably don't care, because at the end of the day, they care about the image quality, showing up to set with a camera that looks like a dedicated cinema camera, I think will give me confidence And that will translate, I think, into the client's confidence in our ability to produce great work. And we've even had meetings recently where I believe that showing up with this camera will help land us the job that we may not have otherwise gotten. And so it is something to take into consideration. I'll make another video 6 months from now and let you guys know if that's actually the case, because I think we can also get into this mindset of we have to have a red camera for people to take us seriously. And at the end of the day, most of your clients probably don't care about what camera you shot it on. They care about the quality of image and the quality of work that you produce and the experience that they had working with you. I'm gonna throw this lens on in the viewfinder and then we'll wrap this video up. So yeah, that's probably the way that I would do it, is to mount it in the back here. So that way I can use this as my touch screen. But I do plan on mounting a full-size monitor, either a 5 or 7, up here on the handle or with a magic arm off of the body. That's something I'm still trying to figure out yet. If you know any cool rigging pieces or ideas for the FX6, definitely drop a comment and let me know, because I'm still trying to figure out exactly how I want to do that. But I'm gonna go ahead and plug in our viewfinder here. So there's our viewfinder. This you can turn whatever which way you would like to and rotate it and all that good stuff. I don't know like how sold I am on this viewfinder yet. But the nice thing is I can just use an external monitor if I want to. So there you have it. This is the Sony FX6 straight out of the box. I didn't put the battery in it yet, but I didn't think that was really necessary. But just wanted to walk you guys through, really not an unboxing. You can go watch a million other unboxings out there, but I really wanted to go through why we chose this camera and our perspective on purchasing this camera as a video production company that already has 2 FX3s. Hopefully this gives you some perspective, and ultimately you have to decide what's gonna work best for your workflow, because no one else knows the type of work you're doing, your style of shooting, and your preferences when shooting. Ultimately, the camera doesn't make you a better filmmaker, but I'm thankful that in 2023, we have so many amazing options for cameras. Like I said, I'll keep you guys posted and update you on if this was the right decision. Like I said, we've made some wrong decisions in the past and had to go back and sell equipment. And so I'm hoping that we don't have to do that with this, but I will let you know, because I know there's a lot of people that are debating on this camera and if they should upgrade, if they have an FX3 or an FX30 or even an A7 III or something like that. And so I will keep you posted. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, ring the bell to be notified whenever we drop new videos, and we'll see you in the next video.